This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Hello and welcome to another video on my channel. First things first, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a healthcare practitioner of any kind. I'm just a lady. A follower emailed me and said, Hannah, this might be a cool video idea. I am trying to conceive soon, but I kind of want to prepare my body for conception. And I'm far more interested in preparing your mind for conception, or your mind for pregnancy, for birth, the whole thing of becoming a mom. And so that's what we're gonna talk about today. This is the bub, and he just wants to be held all the time, and it's so much easier having this awesome carrier. This is the Tula carrier. I love it. I'll put a link below if you're interested. It's just so nice now that he can fully control his head. It's like my life is so much easier. I also want to start by saying that this video is not about fertility or infertility, and if you are someone who struggles with infertility, this isn't tips or anything like that. I've never struggled with infertility myself, and I know it's a super sensitive topic, so if this isn't the video for you, you might click out now. But just because someone doesn't struggle with infertility, or they don't know if they do yet because they haven't tried to get pregnant yet, it doesn't mean you can't be a little bit more intentional and conscious about the way that you go about conceiving and becoming a mom. I feel like I just want to talk to you guys like you are maybe a friend, as if you're a friend of mine who is like, Hannah, I really want to get pregnant soon, I just want to talk about how you did it, This is just sort of my experience, and just talking to a girlfriend, essentially. First, let's talk about birth control. I never took any hormonal birth control. I never took or had an IUD. I honestly don't really understand those. I never even was interested in those. My two forms of birth control have always been not having sex, and then when I was having sex, condoms. In my opinion, condoms work when they are used correctly, and that is what we always used for the 8 years that we, or I should say 7 years that we were married before we started trying to have kids. And I don't want to go into it right now, but I think that's one reason why we didn't struggle too much to get pregnant, is because I never messed with my hormones or anything. I always had a regular period. One of the biggest things that was important to me before I conceived was just having a really strong relationship with my partner, with my husband, Eric. We got married about 2 years, less than 2 years, after we started dating, which is essentially how long we had known each other. And in the beginning, just like a lot of married couples, we had our own struggles and we really worked on them. And I am really glad that we became parents when we did, because of how strong we are now in our relationship. It took a lot of, being really intentional and thoughtful and considerate of each other, and reading a couple books and doing some counseling and getting to where we are, having a really strong foundation, I think is just a fantastic way to start a family. If we had started, when our relationship wasn't as strong, I don't know what it would look like. I think it would be a lot harder to become parents, because it's already so hard. It's one of the most difficult, most rewarding things ever, is to just being pregnant was hard, and then to have the baby and now raise the baby, and we're not even in the real parenting stage yet. And so we worked on our personal relationship, emotionally, physically, and we got our finances in order. We just got our life together, where we feel like we know how to do this. We know how to live life, just us two, and then we can add a third. This next topic I'm just gonna call life experiences, and this is, again, just if I'm talking to a girlfriend who's like, I want to have a baby, I'm gonna say, do those things that you really want to do first. Those things that you're that's gonna be real hard when I have a baby, and I just want to check some things off. This isn't true for everyone, it's just my experience. There were some life experiences I really wanted to tick off, bucket list type of things, before I started a family. All right, Cosmo went down for a nap. I thought he would fall asleep in the carrier, but I guess not. A really big part of my life pre-baby was writing, and something I just wanted to accomplish was write some books. So I wrote 3 books, and I started querying one book, and all that means is trying to get an agent for that book. And I just sort of wanted to start the process, and that was sort of the last peg that I wanted to put in the last hole before I chose a really great metaphor. But it was something that was super important to me, and I was super aware of how time consuming it is to have a baby. As you can see, just trying to have a YouTube channel with a new baby is really challenging, especially for someone who's never done it before and who has no idea what she's doing. Another big thing I did was I spent a summer in France in 2018, the summer I turned 30. And this is a huge bucket list item for me. I really wanted to like live in France for a little bit and to practice the language while I was there with real French people, and I just think it's the best way to learn a language, and I had so much fun. It was such a valuable experience for me. It was something I thought I would have done before I got married, but I fell in love real fast with this man, and this man, he's over that way. And then when I was presented with an opportunity to go, which was basically me saying I want to go to France, that was the opportunity, and I just figured it out. I made it work, and my husband is super what's the word for you? He is very understanding of my need for independence or my need for certain experiences, and so it was difficult. It was a difficult 3 months, mostly for him, but I also got very homesick for him in the last couple weeks, and it was hard and challenging, but I'm really glad I did it pre-baby. I worked a lot before getting pregnant. I traveled a lot, and I'm really happy with that. I'm so glad that I just hustled a lot in my 20s. I did a lot with my life, and I'm really grateful that I took advantage of that time in my youth and my babylessness. A huge part of motherhood is self-sacrifice. I think that's like one of the biggest things, and I'm historically a very self-involved person, so I knew when I got pregnant I really wanted to be fully prepared to give of myself to my children. And that doesn't mean that I can't also work, I can't also write, I can't also travel. Of course, I understand that, but there were things I just wanted to do by myself. I'm not sure if anyone else can relate to that. Everything is more complicated when you have babies. Like, just going to run an errand is so complicated. I find that I put off errands all the time now because I gotta do the car seat and take them out of the car seat and do the whole thing, and it's so much more complicated, and that's just like a tiny little run to the post office. Of course, I think that if I did get pregnant outside of my plan, I think I would have been fine. I would have stepped up to the plate, just like so many mothers do, because I don't think of unplanned pregnancies like accidents. I don't think children are accidents. I was an unplanned pregnancy, and yeah, I'm not an accident. I'm really grateful for this life. In the topic of nutrition, I have been plant-based for going on 15 years now. I went vegan when I was 18 years old, had some ups and downs in the beginning, and then became like fully all the way gung-ho plant-based, healthy, whole foods about 7 years ago. I bring nutrition up not because I'm talking about fertility at all. It's mostly for pregnancy, to have a healthy pregnancy. As many of you know, if you followed along my pregnancy journey, one of the most difficult parts about my pregnancy was it was very hard to eat during the entire 9 months. I was so nauseous in the beginning and could barely get a cup of soup down, and then throughout the second and third trimesters I could eat, and I was grateful for that, but even still most things made me queasy, and I couldn't eat all the healthy, wonderful whole foods that I was so used to eating. Like, these are my favorite foods. I don't eat a green smoothie, and I don't eat a salad or a bowl of yummy warm ginger coconut lentils because they're healthy. I eat them because I love that food, and I couldn't eat what I loved, and it was so frustrating. Equally, I wanted to consume the best foods possible for my baby. Apparently, I learned the way it works though is that my baby is getting all of its nutrition from my nutritional stores, and so I eventually just gave in and ate junk because I had to eat something, and I ate chips and vegan cup of noodles like twice a day and vegan junk food from vegan junk food restaurants and stuff like that. And I am so glad that I spent years and years building up my nutritional stores, all my vitamins and minerals and everything, by eating a whole foods plant-based diet for years leading up to conception. because I had no clue. I truly didn't understand. My sister would tell me, yeah, food's just weird during pregnancy, and I did not get it. So that's something I would give to a friend if they asked me, is it important to eat healthy prior to conception? Yes, because you have no idea if food is going to be one of those things for you like it was for me. Holy hell. The next category for me is yoga. Prior to pregnancy, I had a very consistent, strong yoga practice. That snap you heard was my leggings. Yoga completely changed my life. When I started doing yoga every single day and really dedicating myself to getting on my mat every single day, it changed my mental health, it changed my sex life, it changed how I perceived myself, it changed my body image, it changed how I held myself, it changed so much about me and my pelvic floor. Yoga made me more in touch with my body than ever before, because I can be a heady, intellectual sort of person, very much in my head. It's easy for me to sort of close off and just be in my head, even though, you know, I love being around people. I don't mean shy or anything like that. It's more like anxiety, loops, constantly thinking, replaying conversations, feeling really insecure and sensitive about an interaction that I had. Yoga brought me out of that and fully into my body, where all you can think about is the next breath, where you're putting your foot, how engaged your core is, especially when you're trying to master really difficult poses like handstands. I think this is related to my experience with pregnancy, conception, and now going into parenting. All these things require so much presence, and presence with yourself, presence with the other person you're with, whether that person's inside your womb or outside the womb. Pregnancy for me was a really difficult 9 months, and I think that if I had not had a daily yoga practice prior to pregnancy, I would have just been a hot mess even more. For this next topic, I want everyone to preemptively calm down, because I'm going to talk about my own personal views on mental health. If this is not how you see mental health, that is fine. We do not have to agree. You're welcome to comment. You're welcome to email me. But this is my own personal experience and how I stopped doing depression. I stopped doing insomnia, doing anxiety, things like that. I have tons of videos about this topic, namely these two, and I'm going to link them down below. I worked with a practitioner named Heather McKean through her method called Mind Change. It was crazy because before I worked on the insomnia, the depression, the anxiety, I was so confused about motherhood. I was just not ready at all. I was very much me. I couldn't even imagine sacrificing my time and my day to go towards a little one and raising a little baby. And it was so funny. It was this unexpected result after working on all that, where I was like, whoa, I am ready to be a mom. It was amazing. I didn't go into that experience hoping to resolve any issues around any potential baby, but that was my experience. And I worked with Heather to work out some traumas and phobias of mine. If I had a friend who asked me, what is the #1 thing I should do before I start a family or start, you know, trying to conceive, is work on all of those emotional things. Like, you know, that thing, it's different for everyone. That trauma, that experience, that thing you feel you have PTSD from, that insecurity of yours, that eating disorder, that whatever it is, work on that, because it is so emotional becoming a mom. My postpartum experience was relatively easy-ish, you know, compared to some other experiences I've heard, but it was really hard. It was so challenging. It was like this emotional roller coaster and the most intense, terrifying love ever. Thank you so much for watching this video that I find very interesting, and I've never done a video quite like this before. And also thank you for all of your support as I transition into this crazy new life. Oh my gosh, it's a whole new world up in here. And all of your support, your encouragement, your kind words, your uplifting comments, really appreciate it. It's so helpful to me as I step into this new role of mama. And equally, thanks for being patient with me. I mean, it's not like you guys really care probably, but you know, having consistent videos is really hard right now. So I appreciate your patience and, I don't know, sticking around. That's a big thing, because like the YouTube algorithm, if you step out for a few minutes, it's like they close the door and people forget that you even existed. And this kind of job is the one that exists solely on the basis of how many people view your videos. So I really appreciate you guys clicking and staying with me even though all the excitement is done. And that's all. And now I have some more laundry to do. Just kidding, one more thing. This video is brought to you by Squarespace. They are a monthly sponsor of mine. I love Squarespace. If you need to start a website of any kind, I highly recommend clicking that link below because you get a free trial and 10% off your first purchase. Squarespace has great customer service. If you are like, website, computers, what are buttons? Then this is the platform for you because it's very user-friendly. They have beautiful design templates and they're always there for you. I have called customer support several times or chatted with them or emailed them. They have so many ways to get in contact with them, and you're talking to a real person who really helps you. Squarespace is great for bloggers, business owners, someone who just needs to get their CV out into the world, creators like me, someone who wants to sell something. They have so many options for you, and nowadays I think most people need some kind of website. So just saying, click the link, 10% off your first purchase and a free trial.